Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. We've made it to Friday. Congrats. And this is the first in a new series of Q&As that I'm going to do once a week in the Profit Concierge group and on my live feed and to LinkedIn, answering the questions that pile up during the week in one fell swoop, probably no more than 15 minutes, so I won't have to hold your attention for too long. But 15 minutes of finance. In fact, maybe that's what I'll call these. I'll play with 15 in finance. Clever. Is what we're going to do once a week here so that I can take care of your questions. You'll see a post in the group and on my feed that says, hey, it's Monday. Shoot me any questions you want to have answered, and we'll cover them in the week. And we have a few cool topics today. We're going to talk about charging your personal expenses to your business. We're going to talk about how to find a good bookkeeper. We're going to talk about what you need to look at in your reports, why it feels like you have no time to look at your finances, and how to all of a sudden make that time because it's going to absolutely add revenue and value to your bottom line. There's such a reason to look at them. So those are the big three things we're going to talk about. At the end, I'll wrap up with a couple new and exciting things that are happening here at Profit Concierge. But first of all, let's jump right into the first question. So the first question is, that I want to talk about is, do I charge my personal expenses to my business? Should I? Can I? So I'm going to lead from here by saying I am not a tax expert and you can't hold me liable, and this is not tax advice. But I am going to tell you that there are certain expenses that are personal expenses that can be charged to the business legitimately and become something that reduces your tax burden at the end of the year. So this is really useful. A couple things to think about is mileage on your car that's related to a business event. If you travel and you're traveling someplace and you're going to be working in a hotel room for some period of time, if you're going to be having lunch with somebody who you're going to discuss the business with, if you're going there in order to market and talk to new people, call that travel expense. You can talk to your tax accountant at the end of the year about how much of it you might allocate or not allocate to the business, but put it all in there, because at the least you have a good record of it and it's something to talk about at the end of the year. Because here's what happens, folks. Let's just say the tax rate in your business ends up being about 25% to you, and you spend $1,000 on a trip to go to an event. If you actually charge that event to the business, or your travel to the business for a trip where you're talking about your business at meetings with family, friends, potential clients, it really only costs you $750. So you've just saved $250 by simply putting that expense in your business instead of just paying it out of your personal bank account. And there are a number of ways to do that, even if you pay it out of your personal bank account. But keep an eye on those things. Take a look at your personal bank statement, at your personal credit card statement, and say, which of these could really be expenses for my business? For example, who's paying for your cell phone? Are you paying for your cell phone? Are you paying for your monthly cable bill? Are you paying for your monthly auto expense? A lot of that stuff can be considered as expense to the business. And every time you make it charged to the business, hey, Valentina, great to see you as well. Every time you charge it to the business, you save, in effect, let's just take arbitrarily 25% of that expense. So that's one thing. And I'll do a little bit more on that. If you're interested, drop a question in here and I can get a little more specific on the how to do that. And I'm glad to do it. Second question I got this week from someone was, how do I know what to look for in a bookkeeper? And this is a really, really good question. And we're actually putting together a freebie on this because I think it is so important. But here's the drill with bookkeepers. If you've got a tax accountant and they've hired your bookkeeper, you can rest assured and comfortable that they're going to do the accounting that's needed to make sure you're in compliance for tax purposes. So that's thing number one. Take a deep breath. You're in good shape. However, there's so much more information in all of your bookkeeping that can really benefit you, because what it can start to do is give you information about how much money you're actually making and inform looking at ahead and saying, how much money am I going to make? So you can start to answer questions like, can I hire somebody now? How much should I be pricing things for? And then we've got a whole bunch of training on that also on the YouTube channel. How much can I pay myself? All of those questions you can really start to answer if you start getting some meaningful bookkeeping information from your bookkeeper. So how do you know if a bookkeeper's right for you? When you make a call to a bookkeeper, make a list of this, okay? There's a few questions I want you to ask them when you talk to them. You want to ask them, are they just a single bookkeeper doing the books? And there are advantages and disadvantages to that, so let's talk about them. If they're just a single bookkeeper doing books, they'll be able to conform to you, be much more fluid and fluent with what you need, do things the way you need them. You can reach them when you call, that kind of thing. But if they're not a single bookkeeper, there's an advantage to kind of much more corporate bookkeepers, like they have 3 or 4 bookkeepers and you hire them through a business, because then you know they've got what we call bench strength. So if somebody's sick, you don't have to wait an extra week for your report. There are some procedures and policies and structures in place so that you know for sure things are getting done exactly the right way. You can start to make sure that you ask for them. If you want to have your books early or your reports early in the month, which I really recommend, a single bookkeeper might not be able to do that for you because they've got a bunch of clients. But if you hire a bookkeeper through a company, they might be able to actually get you those reports earlier because they have more what we call bench strength. They actually have more people working on things so that you have a higher likelihood of getting your reports earlier. The disadvantage to a larger company, they're often a little bit more expensive because they have some overhead. So the advantage to just somebody who's hung a shingle and is a CPA or is a bookkeeper doing bookkeeping is they can be a lot more fluid and flexible for you. So there's something to think about in the first question. The second question is you want them speaking your language, not the other way around, right? So there's a little test I have you do whenever you're interviewing a bookkeeper, and this is so telling. This is the thing you ought to really pay attention to and definitely drop in. If you're interviewing bookkeepers and they say to you something like, what are your sales in the month? And how many transactions do you have? Let's just say those 2 words, sales and transactions. Come back at them with your word for what those things are. Say that you call sales revenue, and say that you call transactions, I don't know, bookings. Say those words that you use back to the bookkeeper in a sentence. So if they say to you, yeah, what are your sales and how many transactions do you have? Answer that question by saying, I have 4 client bookings a month and my revenue is $10,000 a month. When they go to talk to you further down the line on those sorts of issues, see which words they use. Do they revert to their language of sales and transactions, or do they use your words? Here's what we're trying to do here. One of the biggest things that makes bookkeeper-owner relationships fall apart, bookkeeper-entrepreneur relationships fall apart, is that the entrepreneur gets frustrated that they don't understand what they're getting from the bookkeeper. So let's establish this right up front. See if they are adaptive to speak your language instead of forcing you to understand their language. There's a lot of latitude in there, and a lot of bookkeepers will just do things by a template. That's when you know there's not as much depth to that bookkeeper and understanding of what it's like to work with entrepreneurs. Whereas if you have somebody that's flexible enough to adapt to your language, this is what we do at Profit Concierge. We adapt to your language. We adapt to your pace. We adapt to how you like to look at numbers or pictures, however like you like to learn about things. Make sure your bookkeeper is that flexible to you. Okay, so that's sort of the second thing when you're looking for a bookkeeper. The third thing you want to do is pin down a date by which you expect to have your reports. And I will tell you that it is absolutely possible, no matter what any bookkeeper tells you about what is and isn't possible. It is absolutely possible for you to get your books by the second or third workday of the following month, for you to get meaningful reports about how your business performed in the prior month. Now, it's reasonable to ask for 5 days because a lot of times bookkeepers have multiple clients and we don't want to get crazy. But nobody should be giving you numbers later than 5 days after the end of the month. Now, if you get a new bookkeeper and they have to clean up some stuff and they have to put processes in place, both inside your business and in the books, it might take a couple or 3 months to get there. But once you're at that point where they've been with you long enough that they know you and they know your business, 5th workday, don't accept an answer where they say, oh, you'll get your numbers by the middle of the month. Oh, we'll get you your numbers by the end of the next month. No, That can all be done by the 5th workday, and you should find out if they're willing and able to deliver on that in that initial conversation. So those are the big 3, right? I'm going to rehash them real quick. Find out if they're single, just a single bookkeeper, or if they're part of a company. Know that going in. Benefits of one is single person's more flexible and less expensive, but the larger company is more expensive, but they have a lot more depth, can serve you a lot quicker, can serve you a lot more consistently. They also might constrain you a little bit to do things their way. The second thing is make sure that you understand or know or are comfortable with this person. Have a good vibe. Know that they're going to speak your language and not make you speak their language, okay? And the third thing is make sure you get a commitment to when they're going to deliver you the reports. All right, last thing on the finance front. One of the things I get a lot is I don't have time to look at these numbers. Number one, they kind of make no sense, and I have no time to look at them. I'm going to give you a real short answer here. Every bookkeeper that's working for you has the ability in their bookkeeping system to make this worth your time to look at these numbers. Generally, what happens, though, is you get one report that says, here's what happened in July, and you're looking at a set of numbers. There's no value to that in and of itself. You should throw it away. The only time your bookkeeping numbers or your business numbers or your finances are going to make sense to you is if you're looking at them in context. So there are 2 ways to look at them in context. One is over time. Tell your bookkeeper this very specifically. Okay, I'm going to give you an exact quote. I want to see a 12-column profit and loss statement showing my profit and loss items for each month for the last 12 months. They call that a trailing 12 profit and loss statement. So make sure you ask for a trailing 12 profit and loss statement. Why? Now you're looking at a story. Now you're looking at what's happened to your numbers over time, and you can start to point out and understand and see things that need your attention or opportunities that you might have missed. Like, what are your best months? Why were they your best months? When did my advertising spend start to show revenue? When does it look like this is going to grow enough for me to hire somebody? Those are the questions you want to be asking in your business. And the only way you can do that is if you're starting to see those numbers. So absolutely ask your bookkeeper for a trailing 12-month profit and loss statement. It'll be the best thing you ever did. If there's one change you make, that'll make a huge difference. So that's how you can make the time to look at your books. Because if you make the time to look at that kind of a report, it's telling you a story about your business, and it's giving you tools that you can use to act on that story. And that's what we're about as entrepreneurs. I want to be able to make decisions and know I'm making those decisions based on real numbers. All right, so that's it. That's your Finance Friday 15 minutes. However, I do want to take a minute here at the end to tell you what's going on at Profit Concierge. You're going to notice in this group, you can even see it on this little StreamYard screen. We're doing a little bit of a rebranding, changing the color from red. Apparently, red's a flag to people. I get it. We're changing it to green, which has everything to do with money. But more importantly than that, one of the questions I continue to get is, hey, how can we get aligned with, find out more about your services? And it's just not something I've talked about a lot because all of our business has been by referral, but we're changing that up because I'm now on a mission. Every entrepreneur should have finances that they're friends with. There's just no reason not to. And the school systems have failed us, and colleges have failed us, and even entry-level business kits have failed us. But we're going to turn that around with Profit Concierge. We are absolutely going to become the name that people are aware of when they start a business. And they're going to plug into Profit Concierge, and they're going to love their finances just as much as they love their marketing, just as much as they love their vision work, their strategy work, because we're going to make it fun. Finance can absolutely be fun. We have done it for every client we've ever worked with. My only issue is that I've kept it way too quiet. I've kept the information as something that I work with on my clients, and I'm done with that. We're going to be making this accessible to so many more people through this group, through a number of other product offerings. But the big announcement is that we're going to now have a product for bookkeeping and a membership group. The membership group is going to focus on CFO and finance coaching for people, along with fully done for you bookkeeping. So keep your eyes out for that. It's coming really soon. And by that, I mean within the next month or two. and we're staffed for it. We're ready for it. We're excited about it. It's going to be bookkeeping done the Profit Concierge way, which is everything I've just described in this. We make sure that we talk your language. We make sure you get your reports in time to do what you need to do with them every month. We make sure that we're aligning and helping you understand, when can I hire that next person? That's a real question, especially for a lot of us. If we go to scale a little bit, we start to lose time. Time is as important as money, is as important as your energy. We got a real triangle going here of time, money, and energy. And with those three things, money isn't always the only thing, right? We may need to find somebody to give us some relief so that we can gain back some time. That time is of so much value to you, and we never really assign value to it. So that's one of the things we're going to take care of, and we're going to coach you on, and we're going to help you understand. You're going to feel like you are sitting in the hands of Profit Concierge, and nothing's going to happen to you around your finances that you don't understand, love, and want to know more about. We are so excited to get this rolled out. On this first Q&A this week, I just wanted to kind of introduce that, and we'll keep you posted on it as we go. In the meantime, drop any questions you have in here. If you're watching this on the replay, if you're watching it live, love it. Amen. Time, money, and energy are equally valuable. I so agree. I can't see who you are right now, but I will find out when I get back in there, and you are spot on. Thanks for jumping in with that. I really appreciate it. And that's what we're going to focus on, because finances need to be just a part of the everyday for entrepreneurs in a fun and easy way. Not hidden, not something to be ashamed of. We're going to talk a lot more about that next week, about how everybody's got that money story that they think is the worst one out there. And I will tell you, yours is not the worst one out there. I promise. So we're going to keep rolling on this. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. This is my favorite way to wrap up a Friday, and I can't wait to be doing it on a regular basis. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Drop your questions in here, and we're going to make sure we answer them. And I'm also going to drop a new post in Monday to say, hey, send us any questions that you might have for next week's Q&A. Awesome. You guys have a great weekend. You guys have a great weekend. I'm going to go start mine now. Take care.